and still going strong. White whales landed, he's played that song. Breaking the news, Hall of Fame on the line. With Connie's recipes, the stars align. He's the flame that never dies, a barbecue hero with fire in his eyes. Get in the smoke, let the fire take hold. Raise your lighters, stories told. Barbecue thunder, the spotlights glow. Rocking the pit on the barbecue show. From Bomb City Nights to the world stage, the legend of Rempe will never fade. Crank it louder, feel the heat. Barbecue anthems forever sweet.
Steve, the Cookout Coach, and you're listening to the Barbecue Central Show.
Start the game! Let's go!
We'll do it live. Okay. Well, do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike the match, and... Oh! Should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
Hey, good evening, and welcome to the really big Barbecue Central Show. This is the show that talks about all things that are important to the world of barbecue and grilling. The show originates from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city, Bomb City, USA, Cleveland, Ohio, the barbecue capital of the North Coast. I'm your program host, Greg Rempe. Happy to have you aboard here on your Tuesday evenings, a live fire, fun, and frivolity show. If you would like to get in contact with the show this evening, or you would like to follow the show during off-show hours, here's how you do it.
You can get in touch with the show by sending an email to Greg at BBQCentralShow.com. Follow us on all the social media channels at BBQ Central Show. And be sure to subscribe to the show podcast feed on your favorite podcast platform.
Anything else you want to find out about the show can be found at the main website, thebbqcentralshow.com. And here's what's happening on the show this evening. Coming up in about 12 minutes from now, he is a multiple-time guest. He is a marketing CEO. Some would say marketing genius. Some would say business savant. And others would call him the creator of the World Food Championships. I just call him Mike. We will be joined by Mike McCloud. Once again, leading the show, no less. So excited to talk to Mike. Then after Mike, it is the third Tuesday of a month. And that means only one thing. In the first hour, we have to have a visit with Wes Wright, cookoutnews.com. Did we miss Wes last month? Was he on business? Could he not make the trip happen? Then I somehow backfilled the segment. Things change so fast and so furious in this show. I can't remember even a month ago, let alone what happened 2 weeks ago. I feel like we did not have Wes. There's a very good chance that maybe we did, and I'm just not remembering it. But again, lots of things going on behind the scenes, always and often here on the show. That'll bring a close to the first hour. We move to the second hour, where we will find what you would think is a first-time guest, but indeed not. But he has had 8 years off in between appearances. Christoffel. Or, I should have asked him during the sound check. Christoffel? Oof. I think it might be Christoffel. It could be both, right? I mean, who knows? Christoffel. It's going to be very awkward now that I'm really in my head about it. Am I going to just say Coy from Pits and Spits? Am I going to say Coy, Christoffel? Coy, am I correct or not? Is it Christoffel? Are we going to say Coy, either Christoffel or Christoffel? Which one is it? We turn it into a game show. We'll see how it goes over the next hour, and then we will come up with some kind of way to figure this out. But I should have, and I even had it in my note right here, make sure that you ask for the last name. But I didn't do it. Shame on me. And that will teach me a lesson going forward in life. Then closing the show, and for the second time in 2026, he is the first ever full-time barbecue editor anywhere on the face of the earth. But he is first and foremost from Ohio and Worcester, no less. But we will say Worcester. Daniel Vaughn is here. We're talking about beef, amongst other things. So very excited to have Daniel back on the show and chop it up for 15, 20 minutes. That's how the show's laying out. 14 past the first hour, Mike McCloud. 35 past the first hour, Wes Wright. Second hour, 14 past, Coy, Christoffel, or Christoffel, Pits and Spits. 35 past the second hour, DV, Daniel Vaughn, Texas Monthly, and his website, TMBBQ.com. Don't forget, you can follow me socially on Instagram and Twitter and TikTok, Snapchat, LinkedIn, all with the handle at BBQ Central Show. We also say good evening to those of you watching tonight through one of our video streaming platforms. You can go to Facebook.com/BBQ Central Show to watch, or you can watch on YouTube, which is YouTube.com/@BBQ Central Show, where we do have a new YouTube poll question of the week. It is written, it is posted, it has been voted on, and it sounds a little something like this. Would you rather have pizza rolls or pizza bagels? And currently it just changed, 60% of you are saying that you would like bagels. While I am a Totino's pizza roll guy at heart from being a Ute, I'm going pizza bagel as well on this one because I am older, I am educated, and my palate has broadened since I'm 12 years old. But we'll see how the rest of the guests vote on that and how you vote. Very quick, and it could change to a 50-50. Well, we're very close to a 50-50, I should say, 60-40 right now. And we'll start here tonight. Gang, I told you last week, literally, right after the Meathead segment, I looked into the camera and I said, and I quote, "Don't email me about Meathead's audio." And what do? You immediately open up your laptops or fire up the blowers, you crack your knuckles and or thumbs, and you send a barrage of emails talking about exactly that. I swear, some of you treat my directions the exact same way as some of my sales reps do at Peterbilt during the day. That's not funny. You listen to the words, filter them through a wall of pure apathy, and then you just do whatever the hell you want. So just this once, I am going to pull back the digital curtain and explain the inner workings of the audio realm. When it comes to Meathead, when it comes to Meathead, you have to pick your battles, number one. I was thrilled when he originally got a USB mic many, many, many years ago. I was then even more ecstatic when that one died and he actually went out and bought a new one. But we're missing the final frontier of basic audio engineering here, folks, and it's called headphones. as it relates to Meathead. I tell every single guest, put the headphones on. Why? Not just so you can hear my beautiful dulcet tones, but because of a magical, futuristic invention called the self-monitor feature. It's a wild concept where the sound goes through the mic and directly into your ear holes, so you can actually hear what you sound like in real time. Now, why is that important? Because when you don't wear them and you start drifting away from the capsule, or you decide to start talking up the shaft of the microphone like you're going to interrogate it, you have no idea that your video is fading into the proverbial abyss. So while you, and especially me, are screaming at the screen like lunatics, going, "Meathead, move the microphone," or "Meathead, stop broadcasting from across the room," he has absolutely no clue. He's just living his best Meathead life, completely oblivious, blissful in the silence. And trust me, during the pre-show sound checks, we go over the earbuds, we go over the placement, we go over all of it every single time. I'm doing the Lord's work behind the scenes, I promise you. But here's the truth. Meathead is an absolute legend. He's been coming on the show for over 15 years, delivering elite content all the while. I love him. I spent time with him outside the studio. He's met my wife. He's met my kids. He is an anchor in this industry, a phenomenal friend. And I am forever grateful for everything he has ever done for this show. So, perhaps in only this instance, he gets a pass, period. There is no bigger fan of Meathead than me on the planet. So can we just mutually agree, number one, when I tell you don't do something, don't just summarily do it, even though I said don't do that. But can we all agree from this Tuesday forward, we are just going to enjoy the wisdom that Meathead drops on us, regardless of whether it sounds like he's broadcasting from inside a submarine or not. I will keep fighting the good fight with him behind the scenes, rest assured. But maybe we can agree all on that as we draw the open to a proverbial close. I think I said proverbial twice. Hey, Mike McCloud is ready to go. Before we get to him, I will talk to you quickly about Primo Grills. Man, what do we love about ceramic cookers? They're fuel efficient. We love that you can achieve low and slow temperatures for traditional barbecue meats. We also love that you can get rip-roaring hot for the temperature or the high heat temperature grilling of steaks and other thin cuts. But what's missing in the everyday ceramic cooker lineup? The real ability to do true two-zone cooking. Two-zone cooking is very important to both professional and backyard cooks alike. It's the best way to manage a fire and cook with confidence. However, getting a two-zone fire in a round ceramic cooker isn't very realistic. Why? Because it's round. Enter Primo and the game-changing oval design. The shape gives you the ability to execute that two-zone setup that you desire, also giving you other ceramic grill benefits as well. Really, when you break it down, there's more than 60 different ways to configure the Primo cooker, so you're only limited by your culinary imagination. Sold through dealers, so find one near you. Easiest way, go to primogrill.com and use the dealer locator. Here's the bottom line. Best ceramics in the biz? Yes. Patented technology? Yes. True two-zone cooking capabilities with multiple sizes of ovals? Yes. And yes. Don't waste another daggone moment. primogrill.com, and then to the ovals you go. Might I recommend an extra large minimum? If you have the cash, go double XL. You might cry as you're checking out, but you will never cry again. What do we say in barbecue? Buy the best and only cry once. All right, Mike McCloud is coming up next. Stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Broadcasting live from the Barbecue Central Show studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
Welcome back. Gang, I don't recall the last time we were able to land my first guest tonight so quickly since his last appearance at the end of April. You know him as the guy who birthed the World Food Championship. Some of you might even remember him from the MMA Creative / KCBS days. But certainly we all know him as the Barbecue Central Show's guest Hall of Famer. Happy to welcome back our pal, Mike McCloud. Hey, Mike.
Mr. Greg.
We have a YouTube
Good
poll
to see
question
you,
of the
bud.
week. Great to see you, as always. Would you rather have pizza rolls or pizza bagels?
Well, I've never had pizza bagels, so I think I'd opt for bagels just to try it out.
Yes, all right. Well, it has quickly changed. So for the whole open, it was bagels right around 60-40, and it has literally reversed itself. Now pizza rolls are 64% of the YouTube voting public. So always appreciate your insight on these stupid questions to lead the segment. All right, coming to the end of 2026's version of the Famous Dave's All-Star Barbecue Challenge. This concludes at the end of the month. So before I ask about the overall feedback that you might be getting from Famous Dave's, you've been to one of these events this year. How do you or would you define success? And perhaps more importantly, what do you find inspiring about these events and teams?
So success would be measured by how happy Dave Anderson is when he sees the turn-ins, number one. And secondly, it would be based on how operationally smooth we can perform the event without getting in the way of the operators at each one of the locations. They all have a tough job and a great job, and they're great at what they do. So our role is to come in there and roll up a barbecue in the parking lot event, do it without interfering with their lunch crowd, and get it done before their dinner crowd, and introduce people to new pit masters across the country. So that's the primary objective. And so far, so good this year. We've found some new teams and some new talent out there that's going to make their way to the World Food Championships. And we have actually discovered some great new dishes that the Famous Dave's Corporation is looking at to determine, can we put this on the menu, and if so, what do we need to change about it? So it's a fantastic series for numerous reasons. One, connecting the dots for competition barbecue and commercial barbecue. Two, because Dave is so gung-ho about celebrating the pit masters out there in the world that you and I talk to day in and day out, and making sure that some of them have an opportunity to have a big break like he did. So I love that aspect. And three, it's good for food sport. It's good for people to understand how to connect, how to enjoy what the aficionados in our industry can accomplish with some heat and some meat. And so I like all aspects of it.
When you look at it operationally, you do some really large events. You've done really large tours over the year. If we look back at the Sam's Club, how does this fit into how operationally difficult or easy compared to some of the other things you have experience with?
It's a smaller, but it's a repetitive process, and it actually works fairly well, and we roll it out consistently as long as we are prepared, as long as we do all of the preparation up front. And I don't think most organizers out there, well, you take one-off organizers, someone who runs a competition once a year, and it's a big moment, right? It's a big weekend for them and their community. People who've been through that, when you ask them, could you do this 8 times in a row over the course of 2.5 months? I think most of them would say no. That's insane. So what we had to learn, and this goes all the way back to the Sam's Club barbecue days that you referenced, and even before then, the Great American Barbecue Tour, which we did for KCBS. We had to learn how to major in the majors, minor in the minors, and develop a protocol that was repeatable, scalable, and even though it's going to be fallible, we aim for infallibility every time. And the famous Dave's program, now in its 4th year, is a good example of that. I think we've kind of, knock on wood, we've kind of perfected the process, which means we'll probably looking into next year, we'll probably push the envelope some more and see how we can try to make it better and bring some new wrinkles to the table. But I think it's one of the best examples of what passionate individuals in a corporation that cares about barbecue can do for the food sport industry.
Could this be a tournament of down the road 20 teams at each event, or do you really have to be cognizant of getting through the lunch, having this thing between a lunch and a dinner crowd and keeping it as close to barbecue as you can, but not also requiring a 10, 12-hour brisket cook?
This one would be tough to do with 20 teams, and primarily because of the space restrictions. Each one of the restaurants are tucked into a location that gives them X amount of parking spots, and when you do a barbecue contest, everyone who knows who does that, it's kind of a land grab situation. You've got to create a big swath of movement and space for the teams. You can start out trying to contain everyone to a 10 by 20, but as we all know, every team turns that into a 20 by 40 before they're done. So it's kind of tough to see this one scaling up to 20 teams or more. What I think we're probably going to see is probably layers of barbecue contests in the future, where, as you know, we've been experimenting with this same concept with Walmart. They obviously have bigger parking lots, but still they're very concerned about their customers being able to have easy access, ingress, egress to the retail shopping experience. So they're limited. We're doing one in Austin next weekend, and I think this will be the largest one we've done so far. We've done 3 teams, we've done 5 teams, and now we're about to do 10 teams in Austin. And we're starting to push the uncomfortable level with 10 teams. So I think what's going to happen eventually, if we ever get back to the days of doing a national barbecue tournament like the Sam's Club barbecue tournament was, I think you're going to see layering. I think you're going to see that a Famous Dave's may do, let's call it junior barbecue. A Walmart might do the professionals. A Sam's Club might do live fire. I think you'll see layers of competition and an opportunity for people to plug into one of those environments based on their desires and their experiences. That's kind of what I hope happens and see happening at the moment.
Do you think that there could be some version of that mythical Sam's Club tour? Like, is there a demand for that really anymore?
That's a great question. On the barbecue team front, I would love to have a poll that kind of addresses that, to see how many teams would enter a tournament. When we did that, there were 600 team slots. We had 25 local competitions, then 5 regionals, and then the national. And I feel like just looking at the numbers and not really doing the homework and the research like I used to, but I kind of feel like barbecue might have peaked prior to now. Let's just say, things are moving in different directions now. You have rib competitions, you have live fire taking off, steak has come, and has it peaked. I don't know if there are that many competition barbecue teams that would plug into a tournament of that size anymore to do it the way we did back then. If there was, I do think that we could get the sponsor and supplier community to participate. It's going to take a whole new pitch and a whole new proposition to either the Sam's Club, the Walmarts, the big box retailers out there that exist, to show them the ROI and the metrics behind it. But once they get behind it, the money's there. The brands are there. The question is who's going to aggregate it and stand behind it and provide the ROI that everybody wants. We used to be in that position, and we are in various aspects now with some of our clients. We don't have a request at the moment to do it on that scale, but it's constantly on my mind, and I do think that if life ever slows down a little bit, that I'm going to probably make one more run at a big tournament like that.
I feel like, and this is going to sound really old of me, whenever I see somebody reference it on social media, there is this reverence that follows it with 10 or 15 or 20 other posts. That was the best. Those were the days. All the nostalgia type posts you get from people that took part in it. My biggest concern when we were in the midst of whatever the barbecue golden era was, as you referenced, there were maybe not a lot of people, but there were certainly a smaller percentage of real loudmouth assholes that would get on social media and not do the group as a whole a service when you have brands and people pumping money into this thing because you have given them the ROI on it and why this is a good idea, all that stuff. And then, heaven forbid, they go on social media and hear some of these guys shooting their mouth off and basically shooting themselves in the foot. And I wonder, when you look at that, was there a portion of those big names bringing the money that they're like, hey, we were all for this, but these guys kind of chased us away from this?
So you hit a nail on the head. I think part of the challenge today is just how ubiquitous and how loud social media can become, and how sensitive brands are to it. Right? Brands are they're so in fear of getting canceled or so in fear of offending people. I mean, look at the America 250 experience that's going on, and there's pressure on major artists to not perform because people don't like the president that we have now or whatever. It's very unfortunate that social media and random criticism or partisan criticism can kill big concepts. That's not what killed Sam's Club National Barbecue Tour, though. We were on the front end of all that. We just kind of run a cycle. We did it for 7 years, and it kept getting bigger and better and tighter. And then leadership changes at a major corporation like Sam's Club, which happens a lot. People come in with new ideas of what marketing dollars should be spent on, and that's really what made things go in a different direction at the time. And but to your point, let's take the Barbecue World Cup, which I don't know a whole lot about, and I can't speak on behalf. I know that there's lots of buzz about that, and I hope that is a successful situation because a rising tide is good for everyone. I was one of the very first people that preached about the rising tide, right? And why KCBS would take a Great American Barbecue tour to Memphis in May when Memphis in May is not sanctioned by KCBS. I was the one guy in the room who was trying to tell people, if it's good for us, it's good for them, it's good for everyone. So back to the Barbecue World Cup, if that's successful, and they're able to deliver on their promises, then that's going to be great. But gosh, they fall short on one aspect. I mean, Katie, bar the door.
Yeah.
You don't have your judging tight as a drum. You don't have sponsors writing checks at the right moment. You don't have a venue that's open and willing and has access points. And good Lord, if you don't have enough porta potties, I mean, there's so many things that people can complain about. And if for one of those things catches fire, it can kill the momentum of something really, really quick. And that is the dangerous moment right now. Even with a series as tight and as operationally efficient as the Famous Dave series, if for some reason customers started complaining and saying, I don't eat at Famous Dave's anymore because there's a bunch of barbecue teams in the parking lot. I mean, that becomes something that the marketing director at Famous Dave's has to defend and discuss at the C-level suite. And so we constantly are trying to make sure everyone's experience is positive and that everybody walks away with a fair shake, no matter if they win, lose, or draw on the competition side. And if they're consumers, they had a great experience and feel like they got something unique from the moment, and they don't walk away saying, I'll never go back to that again. So, you're hitting the nail on the head when you ask that question, because it's something that all promoters and all series, all events have to think about.
I'd chase down the Barbecue World Cup rabbit hole, but we can save that for another day here.
Sure.
Couple minutes left.
And you know more about it than I do.
All right, I'm gonna rein it in. So, World Food Championship coming, obviously, in October still. Any new developments since a couple months ago when we had you on, or anything that we can look forward to?
Yeah, we have several new things that we're doing right now to expand the experience for competitors and extend their stay, from Burger Battle to Dessert Smash to our Stars and Stripes Showdown. And something that's coming that's going to be, we're just super excited about. We're launching the very first culinary combine at this year's event. We're literally going to put chefs through a 10-task environment, time them with chefferees, and they're going to have to prove that they're the best at spatchcocking a chicken, or peeling the membrane off a rack of ribs, or dicing onions, and doing all these different exercises that matter to the chef industry. We think it's going to be a lightning rod food sport moment, and we're launching it this year, and we may have a celebrity host jumping on board behind it. So we're very excited about that. Very, very excited about being in Indianapolis for the third year. We know where all the hurdles are, all the potholes are, and we think this year is going to be the best experience yet.
Could you see moving out of Indianapolis in the next couple of years?
Man, I can see a lot of things.
Is there a better place than Indy for this?
Not at the moment. We feel really good about the relationship there. We feel really good about the venue, and it would take a lot to get us off of the sweet spot that we have found. I honestly, I would like to see Indianapolis be a long-term home for us. I think a lot of that's going to depend on how the consumer interactions and the consumer ticket sales are this year. We're off to a good start already. We're ahead of last year's curve. We think that we have fixed or found some of the formulas that are going to make us very happy and make us efficient, make us effective, and make us profitable in Indianapolis. So be hard pressed to get away from that.
We are pointing to October, but in the meantime, we'll see Mike McCloud here show up a few more times. Mike, always appreciate the insight and the candor, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Always a pleasure. Thanks a lot, Greg.
Mike McCloud right there, World Food Championships. And love when we do a little rehash of the old days and what it was like before World Food Championships before they came about. Wes Wright is in the green room. We'll get to him here in just 1 second. Before we do that, the show is proudly sponsored by our pals over at Fireboard. Innovators behind the Fireboard 2, the Fireboard Pro, the Fireboard Spark, the Fireboard Beacon, and the wireless Fireboard Pulse. Experience total control over all of your devices from anywhere in the world when you're using the Fireboard app. Discover more by visiting fireboard.com or call 816-945-2232. That's 816-945-2232 today. And who knows, maybe Ted Conrad himself will answer the phone and fill your order or answer your questions, or both. You can order and ask questions if you want. It's good folks over at Fireboard. Wes Wright is next. Stick around.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central Show.
And we thank Mike McCloud for joining us last segment, worldfoodchampionships.com, his website. My next guest tonight runs the cookoutnews.com website. A Barbecue Central Show's guest Hall of Famer. And the show's official barbecue business watcher, whether he knows that or not. We welcome back our pal Wes Wright to the show. Did we miss you last month, Wes? Am I correct in that?
Yeah, I was traveling to Cleveland, so just not to see you.
Right.
But I was in Cleveland.
No big high-level Barbecue Central Show, cookoutnews.com conferences, agendas, and or otherwise. Like, what was the best part of Cleveland besides leaving it?
It had some neat areas. I drove through some like old area with old houses that were really pretty and all done up and nice, and just kind of like mid-century, really nice.
Where were you?
I think there was like graduations or conferences going on, so I stayed by a university there. I'm trying to think, Case Western, and then I drove from there to Beechwood and went through like some old, I don't know, really expensive houses.
Did you happen to you stayed downtown, so did you go to the Jolly Scholar on Case Western Reserve's campus?
No, I literally drove in, had dinner, and then drove out the next morning.
Where'd you eat dinner?
I can't remember the name of the place. It was in that Beechwood little shopping area they have there, but it was decent food.
Good. Is that the one where the Apple store is and a whole bunch of other shit?
Yeah, there's like a Whole Foods and a First Watch, and every chain store you can think of is there too.
Yeah, good. All right, well, only 10 minutes away from me, so I'm sure you felt the pull to go north before you headed east. A bunch of stuff to get to this evening, and let's start with Weber. By the way, for everybody that was wondering, I have been in deep communication with my best pal, Roger Daly, CEO of Weber, so we're working on getting him booked on the show so we can grill him. He was supposed to be on the show a year ago, and things were going to be happening not so quickly, but definitely before the summertime, and then all of a sudden the year ended, and then there was no Roger, and there was still a whole bunch of questions to go answered here. So hopefully here within, let's say the next month or two, we land Roger. So I'll give you the date for that so you can listen in and then write a scoop story for cookoutnews.com. They've introduced the Santa Maria style grill, not released or not available for sale, but they have trotted it out. And what do you know about it? And do you have any idea when in 2027 we might actually be able to purchase it?
Yeah, I don't know when they'll release it, but Weber seems to do it really early spring, late winter, like February-ish is usually when they seem to release their grills. They're going to have two of them, one for $8.99, which looks about the size as the Blackstone model, and then a larger one for $12.99. They introduced it at Memphis in May, and they were cooking and competing there, I believe. And the Weber version looks a little more upscale, nice, refined, has a couple of cool little features on it. So yeah, it's interesting because it's, you talked about them just this merging recently, and to me this seems like the first product where they're sharing platforms across the different companies. And what I think is interesting is they have, the cheapest model is Blackstone, then Weber has the more expensive ones. Do you think that's going to be their strategy on the go forward with any grills like that?
Weber being the luxury brand and Blackstone being the everyday ham and egger brand?
Yeah, Blackstone being the Chevy and Weber being the GM.
Here's what I think. Wildly unpopular opinion, and everybody laughs at me when I say it. I still believe within 5 years or less, one of those names is going away. They're not going to keep both brands. And I think, so let's say they stay with Weber. I think Weber is ubiquitous with live fire across all cookers and platforms and all that stuff. Blackstone, certainly a big name, but I think between the two, well, let me ask you, if you were shopping for a brand name, in this industry, would you pick Weber or would you pick Blackstone?
Weber definitely has more of like, that brand feel you get when you think about it. So, definitely I'd pick Weber.
So I could see there becoming a suck up of one of the brand names. So let's say Blackstone falls off. So I can see Blackstone now becoming the Weber Spirit line of flat tops, or however they would eventually integrate that. I do appreciate the fact that they have stayed this long with both brands and been able to do a pretty good job. I think people that don't follow the industry like us have no idea that those two actually merged together, and they have no idea that they think they're still both separate and potentially competing companies, and they're none the wiser. And until some type of a name drop happens, they can probably live like that for as long as they want to. But I think from a branding perspective, well, you could look at it as saying, hey, like I always say, I would never quit my day job to do the podcast because I like money, and if I can make all of the money between the two, why would I leave one to just have income on the other? Perhaps Roger is thinking the same thing. Why not take all the money from both when I can? And if there starts to be a drop-off in some form or fashion, then you can start to look at bringing in. Probably a lead question that I'll ask Roger when he comes on the show is, how long are we going to run this gimmick of running both lines?
Yeah, I think the only place they'd run into difficulty is just with specifically griddles, because people, they say I'm getting a Blackstone for I'm getting a griddle. So they'd have trouble with that brand because do people prefer a Weber griddle to a Blackstone griddle, even if it's superior in some ways? Like,
Preseason griddle top.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I would never buy another Blackstone in my life only because of that. Now, that's not hurting Weber, of course.
Right.
Well, as soon as so here's what I think. If they can get that shared engineering portion where you have the preseason griddle grade going on a Blackstone, you could easily see that name drop happen a lot quicker, I think.
Yeah, it's possible. And what do you think in, let's say 5-10 years, the grilling industry gets back to kind of normalcy and not where we're at right now? Does Weber Blackstone IPO again? Much bigger company now, and they probably took on some money to combine the companies.
By the
Someone's looking
way,
for an exit.
Roger Daly looked to go public. What was it? With a SPAC thing or whatever the hell it's called. Yeah, so I think you got a guy running the ship that thought about going public anyway. It certainly wouldn't surprise me in the next 5 to 10, but I think also if you look at some of the public grilling companies out there, kind of sucking ass anyway. Some have dumped altogether. Other ones, had to do a reverse stock split, as we had talked about. So while that per share price looks real sexy now, make sure you do your due diligence and realize how that price got there over the last number of months and what happened over the last number of years to get to that split. So I wouldn't surprise me, but perhaps Roger's a little bit more of a savvy business guy and realizing, hey, seemed like a good idea. Maybe we don't want to go public. We want to hold on to it in this way. Do you know them to still be heavily leveraged and all that fun stuff as well, or is that cleaned up a bit?
I don't know. I just imagine when they merged, they probably had to pay off some ownership. So, they got that money somewhere, and usually people are looking for a return. So that's all it's just intuition on my part.
Circling back to the open fire cooking. So Blackstone has one, Weber has one at the same Memphis in May. I believe Yoder was also showcasing a Santa Maria style grill as well. Do you believe that this is a sector of the industry that is in real long-term growth? We probably kind of talked about this a couple months ago. Or do you just see this as, I want to say a fad, but there is a smaller percentage of us that would consider buying this, where the majority of people go, hey, looks fun to cook on, never actually going to do that?
I think right now they probably have some good growth ahead of them with that. Long term you need to take away some dollars from traditional charcoal kettles or get people to buy in on using them that way. But there seems to be a ton of interest for it, like between the ones released and then, that Blackstone model, I don't even think you can really buy. They released it and sold out instantly. And then, they sent me one that I had fun cooking on, and I have a little tiny YouTube channel I'm having fun with that I launched a couple weeks ago, or not, a couple months ago. And, so my video, I have like 86 subscribers and like, a couple thousand views on most videos. My one on the Santa Maria has like 25,000 views. So people people are interested in that grill,
Do you like cooking on it?
I think it's fun. I don't cook on it like the way you're supposed to, where you use like firewood and, I'd load it up with charcoal and, have fun with it that way. But I was pretty amazed by its heat retention. It looks like it would just leak right out, but it actually was surprisingly didn't need that much charcoal.
You ever heard of the poultry?
I looked it up when you had the guy on your show, right? Yeah. A month or so ago. I looked it up then, and I saw some promo videos for it.
Any thoughts?
I think it's interesting. It's.
Do you want one?
I already have like a, rotisserie and a beer can chicken holder ceramic thing.
But it's neither. So. It is a non-rotisserie and a non-beer can chicken. It's a rod that goes up the whole bird. Hot rod.
Yeah. But doesn't it essentially do the same as I guess either?
Well, the guy Poultry agrees with Meathead, although he finds Meathead to be a pretentious jerk. He does agree with Meathead in the fact that you should not be shoving up a cylinder in the bird carcass that has any kind of liquid in it, because you have a potentially unsafe cooking environment, and you're basically stalling the heat so you're blocking it from going inside the cavity and perhaps cooking it a little bit quicker, but you're also insulating it. Water's not going to get hotter than 212 degrees when it boils, so the inside of that chicken or turkey, if you're jamming something up there, isn't going to get hotter than 212 degrees anyway, so you're maybe even slowing down the cooking process. I really loved beer can chicken when Steven Reichlin first did it on PBS when I lived in Euclid 100 years ago, when I first started getting into it, early 2000s, let's say. But quickly, graduated out of that as soon as I found spatchcocking. That was the only way to cook chicken for me. I did cook 2 poultry birds a couple weeks ago. And while I don't know if the guy oversold me on how quickly it was going to take. He's like, run the cooker at 425. I believe he told me he did like a 16-pound turkey in 3 hours. And my 3-pound chicken fryer took all of 1 hour. Now, I'm no mathematician, but I don't know if the math meets up there or not, or if the convection in my Traeger 850 wasn't on point, or it's just old, whatever. All that being said, did it work exactly like it said it was going to work? Yes. I mean, there's not too much to it, right? You jam the carcass on the hot rod and away it goes. All that being said, wildly delicious. Delicious. Skin was on point. Meat was juicy. The dark meat parts hanging lower than the chicken chest, all that fun stuff. Had a lot of fun doing the stupid video and making it sound sexual while we were shooting it. But all in all, was a great end product. I just feel like you look at it and you're like, almost like the Turbo Truster guys. Now, they had Kevin O'Leary buy in to Turbo Truster. I don't think this guy is interested in taking it to Shark Tank. But it just, you look at it and I'm like, it's just not, no offense to anybody. It's just not, like you eat with your eyes first. There's nothing that jumps out and you're like, fuck, that's cool. I got to have it. You're like, what the fuck is that? I don't know if I want that.
Yeah, if you had no chicken cooking devices and you bought that one, I don't think you'd be just disappointed, right?
No,
but
right.
Is that the one you're going to pick out amongst all the others? I don't know.
Yeah. I think here's the other thing with this guy, and I know he's working on it. And by the way, if you have someone, a pal, whatever, that does cast iron skillets manufacturing in China, you need to reach out to the guy at Poultry. I know for a fact he's looking for a source. Thought I might have had one for him, but I end up do not having one for him. But once he could get the right pan and get that teardrop in the handle thing worked out, I know he sends a reamer with it and all that stuff, but you're betting on the American public exerting even 1 ounce of effort in trying to make a great cooking device. If he could get that aced and everything sells as the set, I think sales and goodwill and good feeling increase 200% right off the rip. And he might have something that he could sell or license to, a bunch of different people. How does licensing work?
You got to reach out to them and work with them and have the right margin profile that you can afford that, I guess.
Like I would? I'd be like, hey, I want to license it, and then he makes them and I sell them? Or do I have to make it, or what?
No, he would. Well, I guess licensing specifically is, he gives you the brand name and you would sell. But white labeling, on the other hand, you could have a Barbecue Central Show poultry, whatever you wanted to call it.
Huh.
He makes them, you slap your brand on it, and you're off to the races.
Do we want to do that?
I don't think I'm jumping in on
It's a group effort here, Wes. It's me and you. I think we were going to do something last show, but we're definitely not getting into the poultry business. Oklahoma Joe, before I let you go, released a couple new grills, some charcoal grills and an offset cooker. What can you tell me about the offset? Or I'm sorry, what can you tell me about the charcoal cookers?
Yeah, they came with 2 charcoal ones, but they're all kind of permutations of that offset, I guess. But the one that is exclusively at Home Depot, what's nice about it is it's a barrel style cooker with a removable ashtray inside, and then also there's a handle on the front so you can raise and lower the charcoal level, like to your cooking grates. And that whole new line, that Laredo line, is all priced, pretty cheap for what you get. It's a few $100, something like that.
Then there's the offset cooker. Should I take a beat instead of just wanting to shit all over it? Because I look at it and then I look at the firebox and I think there's no way a traditional wood split is even going to fit in that. And if you jam it in there, quarter of it or half of it is probably going to be sticking out. Who's this geared towards? And is it really an offset charcoal cooker?
Yeah, I'd say it's more an offset charcoal cooker. They might even recommend you use charcoal in it. I thought I remember reading that, but yeah, you'd have a hard time. You'd have to use wood chunks in there. You couldn't use whole splits by any means. But with charcoal, you'd be okay with it.
What do you think material-wise? Good build for price?
Yeah, for the price. I mean, it's a pretty cheap offset. I forget what it is, maybe $400, $300-$400, something like that. So, it's that entry level, your first offset. Maybe throw some heat bricks in there or something like that to help maintain temps, and it's something to start out on.
Anything you're working on we should be ready to read over at cookoutnews.com?
I can't think of too many like amazing stories right now, not to undersell my website, but I got some reviews coming out, and then I started working with Wildfire Grills too. They have a new grill coming out that's pretty neat that I should be able to test in the near future as well. So
WYLDE?
No E, like
no,
just like wildfires burning outside.
Did they have the one that was on the rod that moved up and down, or did they have like an art flame looking thing, wildfire cooker?
I don't think so. They're like
way off.
No, they make grills for like outdoor kitchens, like premium grills for outdoor kitchens. But they have one that they're releasing that's gonna have a lot of nice features for a little bit cheaper than some of their other ones.
We didn't do this at the open, so let's do it now. As we close the show with the Would You Rather YouTube poll question of the week. Wes, we're asking everybody, including all guests, would you rather have pizza rolls or pizza bagels?
Oh, pizza bagels for sure.
Pizza bagels, all right. I hate to say this, Wes, but only 44% of the YouTube voting public is saying pizza bagels. So 56% is saying pizza rolls, and maybe they're my age and they're hearkening back on Totino's pizza rolls in a drunken state, perhaps during a college rollback from uptown. I mean, who knows what's going on. At the beginning of the show was exactly the opposite. It was like 60% bagel, 40% roll, but oh, how the tides have changed. Wes, always appreciate the time, my man, and we will see you in July.
Thanks, Greg.
You got it. Oh, Wes Wright. Right there. Extra drum roll on the way out. How about that? That's how much we like Wes. So great information as always. And if you are not somebody who is currently subscribing to his website, shame on you. Get on over there, cookoutnews.com. There are free articles that you can read, but a lot of the business one is hidden behind the subscribe wall. I would recommend doing that, especially if you're somebody like me who enjoys reading about the business of anything and everything. Plus, you get a lot of great insider notes, tips, hot takes, predictions. Very inexpensive when you look at the grand scheme of things here. Also, don't forget to sign up for the cookoutnews.com refuel, which comes out every week, and this is the newsletter. All right, we will wrap the first hour, so stick around, and we'll be right back.
Continuing to produce incredibly mediocre content in an exceptionally professional way. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
And we thank Wes Wright from cookoutnews.com for joining us last segment. David Ewell writing in via the instant chat. Poultry used 3 times since I received it. Excellent results. Best whole chicken cook in years. Years? So don't just listen to me. I'm telling you, it was great results. David Ewell also writing in, I had to use the reamer to take out about 1/32 of material in the tear trap. David, 1/32 of material? I don't even know what that is. Is that a lot? 1/32 of material. The question is, David, if this is the handle and this is the pan part where the teardrop is back here, did you go all the way out towards the edge of the handle part of the teardrop and then ream up? Or was it somewhere floating in the middle of that? We got to know. All right, we are pointing to the second hour. Refresh your libations. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Jeff Richards, Columbus, Ohio. You're listening to Barbecue Central. Happy to have you aboard here for the really big barbecue show.
We cook because we have to, and we grill because we want to.
Hit me.
Fine, how's it going?
You have a great show. I'm a big fan.
Boing.
So what seems to be the problem here? This man looks like he's dead, and he's in the crackle.
Charbono! It's all about the charbono, dude!
Succulent fish. What?
He ate 54 wieners.
But listen, Lavernius, shut your face.
I'm shaking like a dog shit peach seeds.
We have top men working on it right now. Top men.
All right, we are into the second hour, gang. This is the Barbecue Central Show. This is the show that talks about all things that are important to the world of barbecue and grilling. If you missed the first hour, where were ye? Well, you're here now. That's the most important part, number one. And then number two, we are recording, so all of our number one will be available in podcast. Starting tomorrow, our number two will be available this coming Thursday. And we'll talk about Friday here in just a moment. Coming up on the show still this evening, Coy Christoffel from Pits and Spits and Daniel Vaughn from Texas Monthly. Of course, we say good evening to those of you watching tonight through one of our video streaming platforms, which of course can be found at facebook.com/BBQ Central Show, or you can watch on YouTube, which is youtube.com/@BBQ Central Show. We have a new YouTube poll question of the week that we're asking everybody, including all guests. Would you rather have a pizza roll or a pizza bagel? And currently, 56% of you are still saying you would rather have a pizza roll instead of a pizza bagel. As I had mentioned in the open, while I was a pizza roll guy in my youth, I am definitely more of a pizza bagel guy. And if I'm being honest right now, I am neither. It don't fit. But if I had to pick, that's what I'm picking. Coming up on the best moments of the Barbecue Central Show in 10 minutes or less this coming Friday, episode 438, taking you back to November 22nd of 2016. And I mentioned it a few weeks back, and because he is the very best executive producer of any podcast ever, anywhere, John Solberg went right to work to locate and produce the show that features not only the best story ever heard on the show, in my opinion, it is the singular best story ever told on this show. The entire history of the show. To me, to many, to the dedicated fans who have been here and heard it all, we all agree that this segment that you will hear on Friday, featuring Chad Ward of a then Whiskey Bent Barbecue, is the best story heard and told on the show, period. And I might even go as far as to add this qualifier, and it's not even close. If I only get one story out of the entirety of the life of this podcast, this is the one that every other segment is compared to, not even the segment, where Michael Medium Rare O'Donnell asked me live on the show, and I quote, "Have you ever fucked an elephant?" Not even that comes close to the Chad Ward bear trapper story that you are set to hear this coming Friday morning. I welcome your feedback, and remember, this segment was the genesis for the very first animated segment that ever appeared on the show many, many years ago. And I might actually go ahead and replay that next week. But before I do that, be sure to go and listen to this week's Best Moment show coming up on Friday. And then you tell me if I'm wrong with my assertion that the bear trapper story is the story of all stories told on this show. You can subscribe, and you have to subscribe in order to hear that Best Moment show, to the show podcast feed, which can be found at thebbqcentralshow.com/subscribe. And don't forget, if you would like to hear a past guest or segment that you feel has been lost in those archives, email our pal John. Let him know you would like to hear. His email is John, J-O-N. That is J-O-N, John at thebbqcentralshow.com. And we'll go ahead and get your weekly Famous Dave's All-Star Barbecue Series update in. 3 results, because I had a week. The week I left for vacation had a contest. The week after I had a contest. And then subsequently last weekend there was a contest as well. Pardon me. So we will troll through these very quickly. May 30th was in Las Vegas, Nevada. The results as follow. Winning it, Nate Benson of Uncle Jesse's Barbecue. Reserve Grand was Kurt Bronner of Rack City Barbecue. Great name. People's Choice is Michelle Bowling of the Smoky Rose Barbecue. Then, in June 6th, over in El Paso, Texas, winning it was Robert Shaddle of Smoke Eaters Barbecue. Reserving was Howard Kinderman from House D Barbecue. And People's Choice was Jerry Luna of Dos Lunas Barbecue. And finally, just this past weekend in Modesto, California, winning it was Los Mexicution, Carlos Lopez. Reserve was Mac Barbecue, Chris Cave. And the People's Choice champ was Mac Barbecue, Chris Cave. Golden ticket handed down to Sencal Smoke, which is pitmastered by Blair Murray. So we congratulate everybody making it to the World Food Championships and whose name was called there. Upcoming events. The next event takes place on June 20th, which is this coming weekend in Colorado Springs, Colorado. And then the following week, June 27th, in Hermitage, Tennessee. And that is the last Famous Dave's event for the entire year. So for more events this season, or the upcoming events, or if you'd like more information, go ahead and visit the website famousdaves.com/all-star-BBQ series. I gave you the update on the poultry results again. And by the way, I see David Yule has replied back to my question here, so let's go ahead and read it. It was on the very back end. The sides were way too narrow as it moved towards the skillet. It just made it a more circular opening. I used my drill, but I probably could have done it by hand as well. David, thank you for your feedback, as always. And I don't know if I'm into taking my grandfather's cast iron pan and continuing to ream it. The gentleman over at the poultry sent me a whole kit anyway, so pretty happy with that. And if I ever need to again, I certainly can try that. Well, he did send me the Talon, too, which goes right on to the handle anyway, where no reaming necessary. Everybody was waiting, aside from the masses that sent in the emails asking me what was wrong with Meathead's microphone. This email also poured in. When are we getting the pee on the floor in the Bahamas update? Gang, it's right now. The last 1 minute and 50 seconds. I am giving you the lowdown at the Cove over on Atlantis in Paradise Island in the Bahamas. So last year I came back. I told you I was shocked and appalled by the amount of standing piss that was casted off of the urinals, which led to my suggestion that these places go by the splash hog, which is a secondary piece that goes inside the urinal. And as you whiz through it, it catches the backsplash. So if you're somebody that typically is cracking enamel with your stream because your prostate is in its best health ever, then a splash hog, or as we call it, the piss hog, is something that you would take great satisfaction in pissing through, because your porcelain cracker isn't now getting cast off piss, but not only is it coming back on your person, it's going on the floor, and when it happens over hours and hours, now you can see it, and it's mind-boggling that a place like this didn't have a regular bathroom attendant going in with some kind of mop and getting the visible urine off of the floor. Now, good news, bad news. The traditional Cove pool under construction. So I can't tell you with 100% assurity, and that's the only way I like to tell you, that the pee problem has been rectified, because where the makeup Cove pool was, or the one taking its place, was much closer to the actual Cove resort. So I just went back up to the room, did my business there, and came back down to the pool. I can give you 100% assurity that the floor in my bathroom, pristine. Now, we might be going back to the Bahamas in November, but maybe not. We have to review the email that I just got, which reads like it's deal of the century. We'll have to punch up real numbers and put the accountant to work on that. If not, next spring, summer, we'll be back. New pool will be in place, or the old new pool at the Cove will be in place, and then we can really test the bath. You're going to go for a fourth time in a row? Yeah, I love it. Getting old. I like my routine. I like my yoga. Coy Christoffel is in the green room. So stick around, and we'll be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central Show.
All right, welcome back. Leading off the second hour tonight is someone who is going to shed light on the newest business transaction within the industry. This company has supported the show for years. They provide the industry with some of the best barbecue pits and grills that money can buy. They have a passionate customer base and continue to push the envelope when it comes to innovation and all their cookers. Here to talk about the latest happenings is the new owner of Pits and Spits, Coy Christoffel. Hey, Coy.
Good evening. How are you?
I am absolutely fabulous. We have a YouTube poll question of the week that we're asking everybody, including all guests, before we get into all the happenings over at Pits and Spits. Coy, would you rather have pizza rolls or pizza bagels?
Pizza rolls.
All right. Pizza rolls it is. 56%.
With a good hot sauce.
Always. 56% of the YouTube voting public is also in agreement with you that pizza rolls is the
I think
place
that's
to
correct.
go. Yeah. So I had mentioned in the open, a lot of people might think that this is Coy's first time on the show, but if you are a mega fan and you've been with me since the beginning, you would realize that all the way back in, I believe, 2018, a then Coy and Ryan duo showed up for the very first time, and we did a bit of a group interview. But assuming people don't track all the way back 8, 9, 10 years ago, or even farther, 20 years ago when I started, a little background on you, if you've always been in the pit making, selling business, and where you might have came from originally and where you're stationed at now.
Yeah, so I'm a native-born Houstonian. Grew up on the Gulf Coast. Grew up in a little town closer to Galveston. And from a professional background, I'm an industrial guy. Oil analysis, reliability, centered maintenance, that kind of thing. Oil field sales, right? Chasing rigs. Uh, but I've always cooked, right? I mean, we're a Texas Cajun family, so we all know how to cook. Uh, my grandmother came to live with us when I was in sixth grade, so I got to learn how to cook from an old German woman.
Hmm.
Just amazing food all around. So the my first cooker was a 55-gallon oil drum offset smoker that we bought off of some guy at a plant. No telling what was in it before we started cooking on it, but we're all still alive. The And then Old Smokies, it still one of the best chicken cookers you can ever get. So that's kind of where my background is. I've always cooked. Probably should have gone to culinary school. Looking back at life choices per se, but you know, and then of course coming on board back in 2016, 2017, with Ryan, and kind of took off from there.
So was it your passion of cooking that leads you to get into Pits and Spits, or did you know Ryan and outside of that, and he said, "Hey, Coy, what do you think about coming with me on this venture?"
Yeah, so we were introduced by a mutual friend. And she goes, "Hey, my friend Ryan, he bought Pits and Spits, and he's looking for a new inside sales guy." And I'm like, "Man, I'm not an inside cat. I'm an outside cat." Uh, and so, but I'll talk to him, and we'll see what happens. And went and talked to him. Was like, "I'm probably not the right guy. This isn't my scene. Being stuck at a desk with a phone. But I'll do outside work." And things kind of progressed. And the oil field wills, oil field does as the oil field wills. Big downturn, and so opportunities came up, and I decided, hey, I'm going to come work for you.
Hmm.
Let's do something, and that's kind of how it happened.
How easy is it to sell pits?
It's education, right? It's listening to what the customer is trying to do and fit them with the right product and manage their expectations. I get a lot of guys that, a lot of people call about the hybrid. The hybrid's a great cooker. It's an amazing machine. We build a ton of them. However, it's not for everybody, and it's not for the guy that wants to try and cook dinner on a Tuesday for a family full of, baseball, kids coming back from baseball practice. The hybrid's a little bit more involved. So you're probably better off with a pellet. It's just listening. That's what it is. Listen more than you speak.
Ryan had appeared on the show a number of times over the last handful of years. I would say for the brand, at least on this show, he was kind of the face here. Although I would say a lot of people would say Coy is the face. He's the guy outside. He's the guy making deals, doing the sales, national sales manager, all that fun stuff. Does Ryan just come to you one day and say, "Hey, better question. How does the sale of Pits and Spits come about, and why does it make sense for you to say, hey, if we're going to put it together, why not me?"
So it's something that we've been trying to do for probably a couple of years here and there. Stars have to align when you're making that kind of a purchase. Certain things have to happen, and that finally came together, and we're all happy with it. he and I, we still text every day, right? I mean, we were texting about an hour ago. So it's that relationship will never go away, for as long as we, you know, work together. You're spending 10 hours a day with a person. You get to know each other pretty well, and you form some really strong brotherly bonds, if you will, especially when you've been at war with them. Because it's a grind. There's nothing easy about being an American manufacturer today.
Mhm.
It's a frontline kind of thing.
What inspired you to want to take the reins over? Was it like when I was interviewing for a promotion at work, a large part of me was like, well, I mean, I'm pretty happy doing what I'm doing now. I like the job, I like the money, blah blah blah. And then looking at this potential promotion or new position, there was a portion of me that said, I feel like maybe I should do this because if I get it, the people behind me know me. And if somebody else gets it from the outside, or the sister company sends somebody from down the hill over here, we don't know what we're going to get. And part of that did compel me to interview for the job, which I ultimately get. I'm wondering if you felt any of that similarity.
I think anybody that kind of takes this path, there's some of that is in the equation, in that calculus, right? There's some, self-defense per se. Um, but at the same time, growing up in Houston and, understanding what the brand is and having the privilege to kind of manage that brand, that's a cool deal, right? And probably about 4 years ago, a buddy of mine passed away, quick heart attack, owned a barbecue restaurant in Pflugerville, a fellow named John Brotherton.
Yeah.
And another friend of ours, Mark Smith, who owns uh, Patriotic Pig Barbecue, on his trailer, he's got an old saying that John used to say, and it's do pimp shit, no half stepping. And we were at barbecue camp, and I saw that, and I was like, you know what? That's exactly right. That's what we're going to do. And so that's what we did.
When you hear new ownership coming in, it's probably a little, and perhaps it's widely different in this instance than it would be for a lot of things. So, you were well entrenched with the brand. You have respect and reverence for the history of the brand. This is an anchor brand, not only in the Houston area, but in the barbecue niche in general. If you know, I mean, everybody knows what Pits and Spits is and the quality and the manufacturing that goes into this stuff. But with any new owner, there could be changes made. There could be new processes. There could be all this stuff. So as you look at it coming in, and, while you have been trying to get this deal together the last couple of years, I mean, we're kind of fresh out of the close where Ryan has, gone wherever he's gone, and now you have officially taken over the reins here through the sale, let's say. So what's staying the same? What ideas do you have, and where might you see a Pits and Spits in 2 to 5 years?
Yeah, so I think everybody has their own vision, that's separate from what was. The key, though, is I've been doing this for almost a decade. This is the company that he and I built together. It works. There's not going to be, there won't be a noticeable change for the consumer, there will be a change on the wholesale side. I have restructured our wholesale program, and I think it's a much better program. I think it's advantageous for both parties. It's a win-win. But as far as the quality is concerned, the innovation, that's going to continue to be our ticket, because we're, in the grand scheme of things, we are small, but we are mighty. And the advantage of not having any decision by committee is, if we want to do something, we're going to do it. And if it doesn't work out, that's okay. We're going to pay a tuition payment, and we're going to move on and figure out what we didn't know and do something else. But the core line, right? The Mavericks, the built-in, the griddle, the adjustable charcoal grills, all four of those lines are growing. The hybrids are always going to be there. We just sent out an extended top hybrid, which this thing is massive on an off-road package. So I'm sure that that's going to be a real hit when it good price point. It's going to be probably around 3, but it's all stainless. Our griddles are all stainless, right? And that is a niche that just continues to grow. I cannot make enough of them quick enough.
Really?
It's pretty it's pretty impressive what the griddle's doing right now.
When you look at a Blackstone, a Weber griddle, and you compare it to a Pits and Spits, like what are the most beneficial features if I'm buying a Pits and Spits over whatever commonplace is?
Yeah, I mean, if you forget to clean it, it's not going to be a rust bucket when you go out to cook the next time, right? Because that griddle is stainless. It has a lot of power. It has a lot of flexibility. You can do dual zones. You can do all sorts of different styles with it. You can take that griddle out, put in gas grill grates, right? So it's multi-roll. Our number one accessory is we do a half griddle, half cooking rack. So you can have both at the same time. And folks really like that because maybe you want to do a little veg over here, do your steaks over here, and make a night of it. And so the griddle, I think that there is a desire with the American consumer to continue to buy quality products. It's going to be a premium price because it's not cheap building stuff here, but it's also the full stainless aspect. You're never going to destroy it. Yeah, maybe in 10 years you have to put some new valves in. So what? Take a couple screws out, throw in new valves, and you have a brand new pit. You're not going to destroy it. And I think that there's a place for that. We're such a commodity driven economy right now that I still think that people need to make stuff. And that's kind of my thing is we still have to make things. And when Americans really, open up that spigot, we can build some really amazing things.
Looking at the pellet grill line, I remember when there was no pellet grill at Pits and Spits, and then pellet grill started rolling out, and then quickly it was, wow, here's something else we can't build enough of quickly enough. The consumer was demanding it.
Yeah.
How do you find sales in this market, and is there anything new on the pellet cooker line we should be on the lookout for?
So the pellet is still our core. It's still 80% of our business.
Wow.
Oddly enough, the full stainless line over the last 3 months has just taken off. It's a different price point, obviously, but we are pumping out 4 or 5 a week on the full stainless, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're a small manufacturer, it's quite a bit. So we're still hovering around that 15 to 20 units shipped per week. That's kind of my main KPI. So the carbon pellets, they're always going to be there. It's always going to be the best seller. The big thing is what we've been working on and what Ryan and I worked on with Roanoke is the Grill Pro controller. It is just top notch. It's this next generation that we've got is I don't know of anything that's better that's on the market. The Grill Pro is amazing. It's got 4 probes. It's got a capacitive touch screen, so it's like your iPhone. Bluetooth, Wi-Fi is integrated into it. It is just a fantastic controller.
From a growth standpoint, are you looking to increase any dealer network kind of a situation, or would you rather stay?
Yeah, so we're always looking for good quality partners. I am a quality over quantity guy. That's always been my thing with the wholesale side. We still have a really strong core of about 10 dealers that have been with us since the beginning that still continue to, bring in product, educate the customer, move on, and everybody make money, pay the bills. But we're always looking to add, there's a vetting process. There have been a couple that we've probably not the best fit, and not to a deterrent to them, but when you're in an extremely rural area, I don't want you to be set up for failure. with that price point. So it's like, do you think you can really do this? Because the retail side is hard.
Yeah.
There's nothing easy about owning a specialty grill store. That is tough work.
Do the dealers that do best, are they close-ish to you, or does that not matter?
No. Long Beach, barbecue land, guy named Jim Gillis, he's crushing it. They do find their niche though, right? Like I had a dealer in Florida. All he sold predominantly were the Maverick 850s. Why? Snowbirds. It was an older community. Uh, Jim sells as many adjustable charcoal grills as I can get him, right? Which is kind of our version of the Santa Maria, but it's in reverse, right? The fire goes up and down instead of the meat. Up in Idaho, Dan still sells, the core line, the big three, the 850, 1250, 2000. But it also depends on the availability of fuel. So it's a tough sell to sell an offset smoker in northern Idaho. They just don't have very many hardwoods, and they got to import the wood, and it's expensive. So there's some regionality to it, but our guys in Nashville, for some reason, there are certain areas that really love our uprights. The 2000 with the upright for the cold smoking, making bacon, stuff like that. So we'll see that trend, but it's typically the Maverick 1250. That's the bread and butter for everybody.
Anything else you'd like to promote or tell people here as they're finding out that Coy is the new owner of Pits and Spits?
It's pretty fun to say that, isn't it? I pinch myself every day. I'm like, I own Pits and Spits, which is kind of like a childhood dream, right? It's like, you're from Houston, it's Pits and Spits.
Yeah.
It's the Rolex of Houston.
Yep.
And so, we're going to continue to be good stewards of the brand. We're going to continue to support the families that we have working for us. They are the most important thing to the company, because without them, you can't do anything. And we're just going to continue to innovate, give good customer service, top-notch customer service. And I like to think that we for the most part, build stuff that doesn't break. You always have something that's going to happen, but for the most part, I focus on my background. I focus on reliability. I don't do gimmicks. I just don't like them.
This is Coy Christoffel, and he is the new owner of Pits and Spits. The website, of course, pitsandspits.com, all spelled out with a double T on the pits and the spits. Coy, appreciate the insight here this evening. We've obviously wished you success and love to have you back on again soon.
Anytime, just let me know.
All right, there he is. Coy Christoffel right there, Pits and Spits. Great insight, good background on Coy, in case you missed it the first time when we had him and Ryan on 10 years ago. I guess I didn't fully understand that the pellet cooker business for Pits and Spits jumped up to 80% of the take. Wow. Pellet cookers popular much? Daniel Vaughn appears to be in the green room. Before we get to him, I'll talk to you quickly about my favorite cigar brand, McCloud. Yes, are you ready for a cigar experience built on history and passion? You know you are. Let me tell you about McCloud Cigars, a partnership forged between Texas passion and a Cuban cigar-making dynasty whose heritage spans back to the 1930s, when Cuban cigars were actually good cigars. Whether you seek the nuanced elegance of the Migdalia or the complex power of the Leyenda, McCloud offers a symphony of flavor for every palate. Don't forget about the ever-expanding color series. The white is the most recently released. There will be another one coming in about 2 or 3 months. An unmatched smoking experience coupled with an unmatched value. In fact, one of my sales guys today, I gave him a white. He called me up after he smoked it. He's like, man, this thing smokes like a $15 to $18 cigar. And I said, exactly right. Each cigar handcrafted in Esteli, Nicaragua by the legendary Gomez Sanchez family. McCloud delivers tradition and quality in every draw. Tradition that you can taste. Visit McCallefcigars.com to find a retailer near you. McCallef is spelled M-I-C-A-L-L-E-F. McCallef Cigars. And we are back with the barbecue editor of barbecue editors, Daniel Vaughn. Right after this, stick around. We'll be right
You're
back.
listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Whole packers, full racks, legs and thighs, injecting butts. If you've never heard this before, you might think you found the best XXX show ever. Let's get back to the most homoerotic host out there today, Craig Rimpey.
And we thank Coy Christoffel for joining us last segment. Pitsandspits.com is the website. And again, it is the double T on the pits and the spits.com. Helping me close the show tonight and making his second appearance in 2026, barbecue editor for Texas Monthly Magazine. You see him here on this show for quarterly visits throughout the year as we talk about things going on in Texas and in the barbecue and grilling world in general, and sometimes topics that have nothing to do with any of that, which is fun. Daniel Vaughn is back on the show. Hey, DV.
Greg, great to hear. Great to hear from you.
Great to hear from you and see you, not in the traditional space, but we can talk about that here in a second. We do have a YouTube poll question of the week that we're asking everybody, including all guests. Would you rather have pizza rolls or pizza bagels?
Pizza rolls.
Pizza rolls.
As long as you know they're cooled down enough, right? Because those things could be molten inside.
Yes, lava inside the dough. 59% of the YouTube voting public agreeing with Daniel Vaughn and the others here this evening. So where are we tonight?
Oh, I am at the Holiday Inn Express in Houston, Texas.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a beautiful locale here. Lots of great barbecue around. I've already been eating my way through Houston. I got some more to eat tomorrow.
Did you go to Truth?
I did not go to Truth.
Oh, where did you go?
Let's see, man. Well, on my way down from Dallas, I stopped in Crockett at Mimsy's Craft Barbecue. I had to get their half chicken. It is smoked and then deep fried, so you get this like super crispy skin, and then they coat it in their jerk sauce. So that was great. That was a great start to the day. Then I went down to Blood Bros Barbecue. I'm with my daughter as well, so had to show her a great menu at Blood Bros. Lots of exciting stuff. I mean, I got a chicken satay sandwich. I got a char siu smoked pork belly banh mi, smoked beef and cheddar. Oh man, chow fun noodles with brisket. I mean, it's just madness there. It's so good.
I got to go there next time I'm in Houston, I think, then.
Yes, you do. Yeah. And they have it's such a huge variety they have, and they offer it every day. It's amazing how they can prep all of that stuff in such a really a small pit room and small kitchen as well.
So let's talk about the topic that I need the most help with, because shocker, I'm not very smart, and it's hard for me to understand even the simplest of things. And I read a lot, and the biggest topic of barbecue recently has been the cost of beef. It's probably been the biggest topic over the last 2 or 3 years, actually. This year, it seems to be really dominating conversation. You're hearing a lot of the pitmasters talk about it. You're seeing pitmasters on national news magazines talking about how beef is putting them out of business, this, that, and the other thing. But then on the flip side, I'm reading barbecue business is booming, and maybe it's really not that bad, but I'm also seeing places go out of business. So the question is the beef situation really that big of a situation? And can we have mutually exclusive good and bad times existing at the same time?
Well, I mean, I think one of the big issues that people are overlooking is just the fact that the restaurant business as a whole is suffering greatly. Like if you look at the National Restaurant Association, if you look at their numbers, like the amount of visitors coming into restaurants, any restaurant, is down 14 of the last 15 months. Prices of beef, prices of everything are still high, right? They're higher for every type of restaurant out there. I think the reason that barbecue is getting so much attention now is because you have this, you have this very specific product, a brisket, and the price of brisket is certainly raising at a rate that is outpacing the price of beef. So beef prices are rising, brisket prices are rising even faster. And for barbecue joints, especially those in Texas, they're absolutely dependent on this one specific cut of meat. And so they've got to pay for that meat, like no matter what it costs, in order to be able to serve brisket, that highlight of a Texas barbecue menu. And so, I think that's why barbecue itself is being so affected by beef prices, is because of that specific cut. And I mean, I wrote something recently that's like, let's think about Texas as the beef state, and the fact that we can provide so much more from that beef carcass than just brisket. Whether it's certainly whether it's beef ribs, beef cheeks, tri-tip has gotten a lot more popular. Like I stopped at Mimsey's Craft Barbecue, like I said, in Crockett, and they have gone to serving brisket only on Saturdays. And so they've got their whole rest of their menu to choose from, all the pork products, the chicken, the turkey, all these poultry items that are less expensive. And, that's what they're trying to push. You have the oldest barbecue joint in Texas, Southside Market in Elgin, who recently put out a video that's like, you need to try our sliced smoked pork shoulder. Like, we are seasoning it and slicing it, just like a brisket, but instead of $38 a pound, they're charging $19 a pound, like literally half price, to go ahead and buy sliced pork instead of sliced brisket.
Have you had that?
I haven't had it there at Southside, but I've certainly had sliced smoked pork shoulder. And yeah, I mean, it's great. If you're going in for brisket, is it going to scratch that itch? Like, maybe not. But if you are going in for barbecue and you can pay $38 a pound for something, or $19 a pound, I mean, I think that does start to sway some opinions and sway some choices within the restaurant.
Is it completely outrageous for me to ask, what if the top 10 Texas Monthly barbecue restaurants, or the top 25, or heaven forbid, all of them, the top 50 Texas Monthly barbecue restaurants got together and said, fuck this, no brisket. They've taken it all away. They're not going to do it. I feel like as they have collected together and somehow would be able to weather the storm, where if, one or two of these guys decided to do that, and gals, that they could get picked off and maybe not make it, where the collective might be stronger and force people, you're going to eat something, you're going to come here, we're still going to punch your card and do all that stuff, but it's not going to be because you're coming here for brisket, it's because our ribs are great, or our poultry, or all the multitude of things that you mentioned at all these other great places.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're absolutely right. I think that's where the power lies, right? I mean, if you're talking about supply and demand, if we can somehow lessen the demand for that single cut of brisket, then the price should reflect that, right? The price should start going down. And I think these beef companies understand that brisket itself is in such high demand and is almost a necessity to so many of these restaurants, that if it starts to become something that's more of an optional, then maybe the price will start to reflect that.
They're not going to do that, though, right? The restaurants?
I don't think the restaurants that you're talking about are going to do that. I don't think the top 10 and I think the big reason is because people are going into that restaurant and they're not looking at the price of brisket to decide whether or not they're going to order it. Like, they're there. They stood in that 2-hour line at Burnt Bean, and they're going to order whatever the heck they came to order. Like, They're not checking the menu prices to see which thing they're gonna go for that day. I think it's the neighborhood spots that like Mimsy's that I talked about that are making those decisions about what can they do that's actually profitable, and also they can charge enough to actually make up for that price for brisket, right? For the higher raw prices that they're purchasing it for. But how many customers are going to come in and buy that brisket? Like if you're in a small town, how many customers are going to come in and pay $38, $40 a pound for brisket?
Well, my follow-up question to that was going to be, why not, if you're a restaurant that's going to cook brisket? So I understand doing limited days, only Saturday, or let's do it Friday, Saturday, whatever, limited days, let's call it. But why not sell it every day and then charge $55 a pound, $60 a pound, so it becomes a better business transaction than... I get the feeling that $38 a pound, the operator still might be taking it in the shorts to some degree.
I wouldn't say taking it in the shorts. I would say it's starting to get to more of a fair price, right? I think that's just the thing, though. Like, if you're serving your community, and especially if you're in a smaller town and you're charging that much, like, now the risk you're running is that people aren't going to purchase it, and you've already smoked it. It's already done. Now you're wasting even more money. So, and I don't think anybody wants to become the headline of, the highest priced brisket in Texas.
Yeah, but why not?
And, if you, well, because I think a lot of these people still rely on customers who want to come in and be able to find value. And if the outward, if the outward message you're sending is that we're the most expensive place in the state, then, you're not really sending out those value vibes.
Do you think it normalizes in the next year or two? Or have we set a new table stakes price of brisket being, $35 to $38 a pound forever and ever, amen?
Yeah, I don't see it coming down a whole lot. I mean, what I think is going to happen is we'll continue to see more, real experimentation, real innovation when it comes to the menus. That are going to just naturally make it so that less brisket is being smoked and served, and hopefully that has a positive effect on the price. But I do think we're going to see that. I think especially if you're a barbecue joint that's been serving brisket day in, day out, and you switch over to like tri-tip as an example, because it's one that I see commonly popping up, and you realize that instead of that 12 or 14 hour cook, I can do this thing in just a few hours and get a 10% loss instead of a 50% loss. Yeah, you're paying more for it up front. But when your loss is that much less from the trimming and cooking process, then the prices start to even out, except the labor that's going to go into it is so much less because of just how much more quickly a cut like that cooks up.
You cheating on me?
Oh, with who?
With the Barbecue World Cup podcast?
Oh, I'm
how dare
just
you?
about any podcast that asks, man.
Wow, horror.
Sorry, but I am not a quarterly guest.
Yeah, that's right.
The Barbecue World Cup,
right on the
or
nose.
any of the other
Right on the nose.
that I've
That's
done.
right.
This is the only one.
You know where the value is. You got a hot take on Barbecue World Cup? You got any take?
I think. I mean, I don't think there's any take to be had until the event itself happens, right?
You think it's going to happen?
I do think it's going to happen. Yeah, I do think it's going to happen.
When?
I mean, I don't know what the production value of it's going to be. I mean, I think that's the part that remains out there. But yeah, I do think it's going to happen. And that's the thing. Like, they could all have egg on their face if the $1 million really isn't there, but none of us are really going to know until that time comes. So, yeah. So no, I don't have a hot take, I guess. Is
No,
what
all
I'm
right, no
saying.
hot take. I mean, we're sitting basically middle of June. I guess exactly in the middle of June. You know, competitions. You've seen big competitions come and go. You know, we saw Smoke Slam spool up out of nowhere like a hurricane in the night, only to crap out not even 2 years later. As we sit here, if an event of what appears to be very sizable, they're getting qualifiers in, you know, week after week and month after month here in 2026, culminating at spring of 2027. I mean, shouldn't we have a judging style, and shouldn't we have a definitive location and date at this point, or no?
Yeah, I guess that that certainly would be something that helps. But you know, I think I just think so much of it is, you know, they are trying to create something new, trying to create something different, um, and you know, I think the other thing, if the $1 million prize is there, right, and somebody wins that, that should be really big news.
Sure.
And I think that's what they're really counting on, is that is really big news, and that generates enough interest in competition barbecue that like people from the general public might actually like wake up and care, or maybe that some of these you know, gambling sites will start to include competition barbecue in
You
you know,
think
in the things that
Kalshi
you
is
can
going to
bet
get in on that?
Exactly, right. So, I mean, I think the biggest thing is about trying to drum up public interest in, you know, this really, you know, it's this world that we live in, right? So it's everything to us. Like
Yeah.
we know all these people. You know, we talk about these things. You know, you're talking about these things every week, but the general public just doesn't care. Like who won the Jack? They don't even know what the Jack is. Like the American Royal. Like, but if it's like, oh wow, so you're telling me Bubba here could like, you know, actually fire up this grill a little more often and could possibly go win $1 million. You know, I think that might be big enough news for people to really care about it. Like I just went, I went recently to the national championship of the high school barbecue competition.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was certainly eye-opening. It happened in the Colony, just north of Dallas, so it was certainly convenient for me. But you know, it was interesting to see all these students out there, like truly cooking. Like there are coaches out there, but they're not cooking. Like the students are doing all of that cooking, and I tasted some of the food, and it's really good.
Yeah.
Like I think the future of barbecue is bright based on the interest I see from all these students. But like nobody cares. Like their schools barely care. Like
it's not a varsity
serious.
sport.
Like they give
you can't
them
letter in that.
They give them almost no support. Most of the schools I talked to, they did get the school that they're representing to actually pay their $400 entry fee, which gets them all the meats that they're going to use for the competition as well. But beyond that, like unless you have a coach who has equipment and or is willing to buy equipment or set up fundraisers for your team, like you're going to be pretty much on your own. So, you know, just seeing how sort of little interest is in even some of the schools where they're got like defending national champions, you know, I think to them it's just like, well, it's not football, it's not baseball. It's like, is this a sport? I don't know. I guess we'll pay your entry fee, and that's kind of where it ends.
So is a high school having? So the high school has, you know, one varsity basketball team. Does the high school have a varsity competition cooking team? And like you and I are in high school, and we're like, hey, Day, I'm going to go out for the competition cooking team for barbecue, and then, you know, I get cut and you don't, and I cry, and like they field that team. So now West Memorial State or West Memorial High School competes against West Texas High School.
Well, the thing is, like, so much of it is just about the interest within that school and the coaches that they can bring in. usually who are parents, right? The coaches they can bring in, and how many they can bring in to actually oversee a team of usually 4 to 5 students is on each team. But James Madison High School in San Antonio had 4 teams at the national champions. Matthew Middle School, we're talking 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, had 5 teams at the national championship, just out of that middle school. So it really is like however much interest you can drum up, and do you have enough coaches who can actually, bring these kids through this competition and provide the guidance, but also, provide some smokers and some of this equipment for these kids to be able to cook, right?
Yeah, well, I'm no dope, but anybody in Waxahachie should be watching out. Pittman's got an unfair advantage. Watch out for those Pittmans.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I saw lots of banners out there with sponsors. I mean, I saw lots of Meat Church and Hardcore Carnivore out there.
Oh, nice.
So there are some folks who are getting some sponsorships, probably just through free product. I don't think Jess Pryles is writing a check to Matthew Middle School. But
they're ruining it for me. I always say, don't take free shit. Like, take your money if you want sponsorship. But these kids are probably just happy to get anything for free. Any news stories that you're working on that you're ready to flash out to us? You want to scoop us on?
Oh man, I'm about sick of half chickens. I'll tell you that. I've got a few more stops to make. I've eaten, I don't know, like 50 or 60 over the last few months to try and get this statewide list finished up of where my favorite half chickens are. So I had like 4 more today.
Who's in the lead?
I got a few more to go. Well, all right, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
The story, there's 2 stories coming out. One is a print story about the best smoked chicken out there. And the other one is an online story about a bunch of other great chickens in different categories. And it's the online story I'm working on now. And they will both publish together. But one is a print story with a little bit longer lead time. So I've already chosen my favorite because I can't imagine one it just is not going to be any better. That's for sure.
What makes it so magical? Is it just the doneness? Is it flavor? I remember a long time ago, Darren Worth once told me that cooking barbecue is a tenderness game first and everything else second. Does that happen to fall in line with your chicken?
Yeah, that's the same thing with chicken for sure. But the thing is, like, a half chicken is so much more, I don't know, intricate than a brisket, right?
Yeah, sure.
You just got slices through the brisket. With a half chicken, I mean, I usually do it a little surgically, right? So I remove the wing, the flat of the wing, and eat that. Like the seasoning, the crispiness of the skin, the doneness, you learn a lot from that. Then I separate the thigh, usually that leg quarter from the breast. You see what sort of juice is in between those two. A nice pool of juice coming out of there is a good sign. Mm-hmm. And then separate the leg out and take a nice big bite out of the thigh. So that you're getting through the skin, through the meat. Is it juicy? Is it tender enough? Is that skin well seasoned? Is the meat itself well seasoned? And, I prefer a crispy skin, but it doesn't have to be crispy as long as like the skin is done.
Yep.
And then really the final thing I check is on the breast. I just peel the entire chicken breast off the bone and then eat the chicken tender, just the tenderloin part. And if that part is still juicy, then you've got an incredibly juicy chicken, right? So those are really the things that I'm looking for in a truly great half chicken. I've gotten a lot of like that back tooth squeak you get on some dry white meat. Get quite a bit of that on the tenders. But man, that one today from Mimsy's, like that was one of the really impressive things was just how great the tender was, like how juicy that white meat was all the way through.
Yeah.
Where else? I went to the pit room here in Houston as well. They've got a really great barbecue sauce and like something about dipping, tearing off a piece of white meat chicken with the skin still on it, dipping it into some barbecue sauce.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, good stuff.
Hungry for chicken now. Appreciate you breaking down how you go about grading the chicken. It is Daniel Vaughn. You can find him at tmbbq.com. BBQSnap.com and be on the lookout for both the online and the print publication for these chickens. Dan, always appreciate the time, and we'll see you in 3 months.
Yes, great to be with you.
There he is. Daniel Vaughn, Texas Monthly. Oh, my God. I mean, I eat chicken a lot, more than the average human being. And so for me to say I am now hungry for chicken, that's usually a stretch because that's usually just what I'm eating anyway, whether I like it or not. But hearing that description and hearing how great some of these half chickens are, and I agree, half chicken cooking is a way different art form because not only, I mean, it's all of the meat, right? I mean, you got to cook the wing right, the breast right, the dark meat right, and it's all right there. This is why I find Texas competitions a little bit more intriguing sometimes than the traditional KCBS or FBA type stuff that are just cooking thighs. Oh, I love it. So great. So appreciate Daniel Vaughn hanging out here. We will go ahead and wrap up the show when we come back. So you stick around, and we'll be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Let's get back to a guy who has more experience giving you his opinion than he actually has cooking. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
And we thank our pal Daniel Vaughn for joining us last segment, tmbbq.com. Or follow him on the Twitter at bbqsnob. Or other social media handles as well. And that's going to do it. So let's go ahead and make tracks out of here. All the way back in the first hour, we had a visit with Mike McCloud, World Food Championships. We then followed that up with a monthly visit from our pal West Wright over at cookoutnews.com. Second hour, Coy Christoffel, new owner at Pits and Spits. Excited to see that. Excited that somebody who had been there has taken it over. We wish Ryan Zboril great success and happiness in whatever he's going to be doing going forward. But Coy will be POC at this point on this show. And closing it out with our pal Daniel Vaughn, of course, at Texas Monthly. Big show planned for you next week. Fourth Tuesday of the month. Embedded correspondence already. Can you believe we're already at the end of June? 2026 rapidly coming to a close, if you can believe it. Can you believe it?
Hello.
Hello. So, until next Tuesday, how do I always leave it? September 11th, 2001. And until we meet again next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, this is your program host, I feel like that didn't come out right. Let's try it again. How do I always leave it? September 11th, 2001. I will never forget. And until next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, this is your program host and proud U.S. American, Greg Rempe, saying, Shalom!
Hey, this is Helen Paradise from SoCal, and you are listening to the Barbecue Central Show.